Well, Eugene, first of all, I'm so happy that you're on here. You're a joy to work with every day. Instantly, as soon as I just hit record, your smile, you just lit up the room. So I'm just so happy to have you on here, and thank you for taking the time. So we got a lot we want to talk about, a lot that you're working on, a lot that you're promoting. We want to talk about your career. But let's start with whenever we have somebody from the front office on, I like to, for Braves Country and Braves fans, to hear just what it is that they do here. So you're Director of Diversity Marketing. So
Yep.
what do you do on a daily basis, and what does diversity marketing mean to you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. It's pretty funny. I love working with you all too. So got Taylor Swift in the background over here doing shooting the camera. So not really Taylor Swift, but it's my nickname for Victoria. So
that's our producer, Victoria Rossman, back here. Yeah,
make sure to do that. And I was that in the room, but anyway, so diversity marketing, and it's pretty funny. Like everybody's like, "What is diversity marketing? What is this? What does it mean?" And so I think like people have different definitions. Like Oxford has a definition. Like it involves people from all different genres and ethnic groups. And so I think for me, diversity means one word, which is the invitation to me. It's the invitation of bringing people together to support different groups, support different initiatives that someone has, or support, a sports team. But basically, it's bringing people together to have fun and celebrate what each other and what we bring back to what we bring together from different backgrounds. I mean, you and I come from different backgrounds, but we have one common goal, which is the Braves, right? So the goal is to basically celebrate the Braves, but also to recognize and celebrate where you come from, where I come from, where Hispanic people come from. But basically, it's the one time in our lives in 2 hours that we get to bleed one color, which is Braves color, right? So basically, it's about the celebration of bringing people together. That's what diversity means to me.
I love that. I often reference this just in different conversations with people. It comes up a lot, actually. I come back to my 10 years here with the Braves, the World Series parade in 2021, being on one of those buses and literally driving through a crowd of 1 million people. And it was the coolest moment of my career here because I saw 1 million people, and I saw people every background, every race, every gender, everything. And everybody just together and everybody was happy. And that was one of those I always felt that way, that working for a sports team, that like the idea is that you wanted to bring everybody together, but actually getting to see it out there was just the coolest thing. So I have to think that's got to be pretty gratifying for you. Like you're working on all these initiatives, all these events throughout the year, and I know you work your tail off on them because I see it every day. Right. But that's got to feel pretty good that at the end of the day, you work on these things and then you're bringing people together.
No, it does. It feels really good. It's always before I started working here, you always saw everybody had the A hat on, right? That one letter, and they had that hat. And so you just like, go Braves, or nice hat, or are you from the A? Are you from Atlanta? What part are you from? And so I think regardless of what our color hues are, regardless of what our backgrounds are, that's the one thing that brings us all together. And so what's really funny is that before I started working here, I would see it, right? But now it's like I see that hat everywhere. It's like I'm like, man, I mean, another A hat over here. But it's a sense of joy, a sense of pride to see that and wear that every day. When I first started working, I think I wore Brave stuff every single day. And I'm like, okay, I got to stop. I got to slow down. Right? But it's a unifier. It's like we have uniforms, right? So that hat is a unifier. That's what it really means, to come together. And so in a uniform place. So we're a unifier. And so my goal is to make sure that we stay unified, not just, you spoke of the parade, but it's not just when we're winning, but also when we're losing, but also at the same time is in the community saying, okay, we see you, basically. That's all that the community really wants. That's all people really want to know is that, do you see me? Can you bring me together? What are you doing there? What can I be a part of? And I think that's the most important part. You have to be very intentional with the invitation, and you got to be sincere and authentic about it. You can't just say, hey, we want you to come here just to get tickets. Nah, what are you going to do after that? What is inside the ballpark that people like to do? What is it programmatically that you're doing that I can see myself in? Or when you see your child or you see this child. I mean, I came from South Carolina back in the TBS days, and so the one thing that I saw was the fact that I would watch TBS with my dad watching baseball games, right? And so at some point in time, you wanted to see yourself. I wanted to see myself in that. I wanted to celebrate with my dad. And so I think I have a personal reason to making sure that it's done correctly in the best way for people, but also at the same time a sense of pride for my children and your children.
All right, well, let's talk about a big event you got coming up here pretty soon. So I'll back up a little bit. When you started here with the Braves, about 14, 15 months ago, something like that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You show up fresh on the job, and it's like, hey, Eugene, you're in charge of the HBCU Classic. It happens in about a month or two from now.
Right.
Have at it.
Yep.
And which was, I was very impressed by how you handled it, because I would not have been able to handle what is a big initiative and a big event for the Atlanta Braves every year. I couldn't have stepped in on the new job like that and handled something like that. Not only did you handle it, I think it was the most successful and the best one we've had yet. And I know that this one's going to be even bigger. So just talk about, well, first of all, for Braves fans, like, tickets and what's going to be going on, what it is, if they're not familiar with it or they've only kind of heard about it, just what it is and what are the details of it.
So the HBCU Classic that we do is the Ralph Garbill Lucas Classic. It's between Grambling State University out of Louisiana and the Florida A&M Rattlers, which is out of Tallahassee, Florida. So these are two historically black colleges and universities. Ralph Gar is a legend, Braves legend here, who played here under Bill Lucas, as well as he played with Hank Aaron. And then Bill Lucas was the first African-American general manager in baseball who was a graduate of FAMU, and Ralph Gar is a graduate of Grambling. So before I got here, we had to try to figure out a way to honor these two legends. What's the better way to do it than to bring these two schools together to play each other? So with that being said, we bring these two schools together. We donate funds to those schools to come and travel and play here, but also give back to them so we know that we see them as well. Key word, we see them, right? But we also want to honor the legacy of these two outstanding gentlemen. So we bring these here. The first game, the game is March 1st to March 2nd at Coolray Field. Tickets are $15, which is the cost of going to your regular fast food place. So you can skip fast food for a time to give back and come and enjoy to see these kids play. These student athletes are playing in a big league stadium for the first time. Some of them have done that before. Some of them probably have never really traveled before. So it's important for us to make sure that we showcase these students in a way that they'll remember it for the rest of their lives. So we start the whole weekend by having a breakfast here on Friday. When the teams get here, they do a tour of the ballpark, talk about Hank Aaron. We talk about why they're here. We talk about the different things that the Braves represent, right, from a historical standpoint of view, because people really don't know from a historical standpoint of view what we do and what we've done. So we start doing that, then they proceed to play in the evening on Friday and in the afternoon on Saturday.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait. It's going to be great. I know last year we had you had Mr. Lucas's granddaughter throwing out the first pitch. Yep. Emily, which is Billy Aaron, the late Mr. Aaron's granddaughter, she was there and had just so much fun catching up with both of them, seeing them there and seeing members of their families there, and then just seeing the families of the student athletes there, the student athletes themselves, and then fans that just showed up, Braves fans or just baseball fans or alums. I mean, it was such a great event, and I can't wait for it to happen. It's going to be another great event this year for sure.
Yeah, and the good thing about this weekend is also it showcases to African Americans, not just African Americans. I want to make sure I'm very clear on this. This is not just an African American event. This is an event for all people, right? But it's also an opportunity to showcase student athletes who may not be able to get to the pro league, but also to showcase that there are other sports besides football, besides basketball, right? There are baseball, and these are guaranteed athletes. I mean, you try to get out there and run 90 feet yourself and steal a base, you're gonna huff and puff and probably have a heart attack.
I can't confirm, yeah.
But it's important to showcase that, and especially for little kids of color who want to know where's the next step for them. There's college next, and this is a recruiting chip for these schools. And the coaches look around, and so I think it's a great place. It's a family-oriented opportunity. We have great music. We play music from the bands from there. The bands are not there, but we do play music of the bands. We do bring in DJs to play to bring out the atmosphere. We're going to have the heavy hitters there. We're going to have hopefully a special appearance by Blooper this year, Pose at the Plate. So we have all kinds of things that we're able to interact with the family so they can have a good time and remember this for the rest of their lives.
I love that. Well, that transitions nicely into my next question. So obviously, as we're recording this, it's February. This is going to be released in February. February is Black History Month. With you leading us on this, we've got a really cool Braves Untold series that's going to be on Braves social media all throughout the month. What does Black History Month mean to you?
So that's a very tough question. Well, yes, I love Black History Month, but basically it's history, period. It's history from learning what has happened in the past, but also how do we benefit from the future? What can we do ongoing? It's about telling a lesson and telling a story of what has happened. And I'm thankful for you for leading us with the Braves Untold story, because I think in history, we have to know there are some things that are untold. We don't want to know just the regular stuff, right? We want to know things that people may not know. So, for instance, we're talking about Hank Aaron, this year. And Hank Aaron, they all know about baseball. But what has he done as an entrepreneur? What has he done in the community? He's a successful businessman with 755 Corporation. He's owned Popeyes. He's owned Krispy Kremes. He's owned BMW dealerships. He's donated back to the city of Atlanta. All of those things are important, right? Then you have the Atlanta Black Crackers. And what's funny about that is that the Atlanta Black Crackers played down by Ponce City Market. There's a magnolia tree down there, and I don't think many people know this story, is that they took the magnolia trees and they brought them out and they started taking seedlings. And what they did was started spreading those seedlings around the city of Atlanta. And what's really funny is that people may not know is that some of those same seedlings of magnolia trees are actually planted here at Truist Park. And so I think those are things that people don't understand. And you got the two sports stars with Brian Jordan, and you got Deion Sanders and how great of athletes they were. But then you also have Satchel Paige and the story of William Bartholomew, who took a risk on Satchel Paige to make sure he got his MLB pension. He was 3 years away from getting his MLB pension. And so William Bartholomew felt that that was a travesty if he did not get his pension. So he signed him here at the age of 41 to be able to get his pension. So I think when you talk about history, yes, it's Black history, but it's our history. And we have to acknowledge all history, right? So while definitely Black history is important, I want to make sure that everybody understands that it is our history. And we have to understand that because of that, there are things that people may not be aware of. And I think what happens is in some cases, when people talk about diversity, they get really scared as that it's about diversity is taking something away from them. And it has nothing to do with that. It's about making sure that we acknowledge and celebrate people from where they come from and come together. People always talk about how we need to be unified, how we need to get to come together, but it has to start somewhere. And I think that what's the important part is that we start somewhere, and that I'm thankful that I'm here, but come here all the time. It's not just about Black history. It's about, let's learn about the history of everybody that's here in Braves organization, the Latin market, what we've done here for Latinos, what we've done for LGBTQ+. So it's all these different things that we can bring together. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that, but yes, Black history is important. And I want to make sure that people understand that. Let's talk about the history. It's our history, not just one person's or one color's history.
I love that. Well, let's talk about your career a little bit. So one thing I also love to ask some people that are in the front office, I'd love to ask about their careers is, and anybody that's working in sports, not just here, how you got here. Like, what was the path that got here? Because everybody's path to working in sports and working for a professional sports team is different. So, and I know a little bit about your path here, but how did you end up here with the Atlanta Braves? What was that path?
So I'm old, so that's kind of how
Me
it happened.
too.
But so I've been in the market in Atlanta for a long time. So I worked in the entertainment industry, working with radio. So I worked with V103 here, so I'm familiar with working with sports. So I worked with the Hawks and I worked with the Falcons as well on the sports side. So what's interesting is I wanted to get into sports, and so I was like, okay, I need to transition out of music. I'll bring it with me, but I wanted to find something new. So there was a chance meeting one day with some people in the front office. I can't say a bunch of names because I'll just say that. But there was a meeting from some people that I knew inside the organization, and we were just talking about how we can collaborate better, what we can do more of, how the Braves can, go into the community more with more intention. So we had this conversation, started talking about it, and then a phone call came about 2 weeks later and was like, "Hey, would you like to come work for the Braves?" And I was like, "What?" I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, "Would you like to come work for the Braves?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And so basically that's kind of how it started happening. And then next thing you know, I'm interviewing, and then next thing you know, I'm in an interview where I'm going down the line in 5 different rooms, and then I meet with you. And so I just got a really good feeling about it. And so the biggest thing about it is I felt like I could make a difference here, and do more things, have a larger platform, and understand, hopefully one day win a World Series. I'm going to say that right now.
Oh, it's going to happen.
But hopefully one day we'll do that. But at the same time, I like the organization and the culture that we have here and what we're doing and what we're building. And I just wanted to make sure I'd be a part of that. So that's kind of how it transitioned. And so with my music contacts and with my sports contacts, it kind of all kind of just blended together. So
yeah, I remember when we were interviewing candidates for your position, I got to sit in with the finalists, each of them. And it was great because everybody that I met was super cool, very qualified. And I'm not just saying that because you're here, but when I came away from yours, I told the rest of our group, I said, for me, I was like, that's our guy. That's him. That's the guy. Like
Right.
I can tell he's just going to fit right in with us. And you've been great. And more importantly, everything you've done the first year, what you've already accomplished, you've taken us to places and we've been able to do things that we wouldn't have ever been able to do without you. I wouldn't have gotten to go down to Stankonia and hang out with Big Boy if it wasn't for you. So selfishly, I'm just going to make it all about me. That was one of the coolest friggin' things I've ever gotten to do. So thank you for that. Selfishly.
But those are things that, when you bring somebody into a team, right? You want to find out what is it that you may not have that you can bring to something different, right? And so my thing is I wanted to make sure I was able to bring in something cool and fun and different. But at the same time, we all gel together as a family and we talk about things and have fun. I mean, it's funny that we have conversations and we may not necessarily always agree, but we all come to some point that we know what is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do, right? And so that was fun for me. So doing those kinds of experiences and seeing your look on your face the next day was like, okay, yeah, that dude's good. That dude's straight.
That's one of those things, man. That's one of those things like till the day I die, I'm just going to be looking back and God, that was so freaking cool. Like, why did some nerd like me get to go down there and hang out and talk to Big Boy and interview him? But it was super cool.
He enjoyed it just as much as you did. Trust me, he was in his zone. So
I feel like he's often in his zone.
Yeah.
I appreciate that about him. But okay, so you touched on it earlier, but I did want to hear a little bit of your memories of like Braves baseball and your dad. So watching TV, did you ever get to come to any games as a kid when you're a kid?
We did.
Yeah. What are your memories of some of those? Oh, at Fulton County Stadium at that point, right? Or would it have been Turner Field?
No. At Fulton County Stadium at that time.
Okay.
And then Turner Field when I actually moved here. So
okay.
I'm gonna try to keep straight because this is an emotional part. So, but I'm gonna try to tell it as much as I can, best I can. I think the thing about it for me is that my dad is such a Braves fan. And so at that time, coming from South Carolina, the only way to watch it was on TBS, right?
Same for me in Virginia. Yep, same for me.
So for my parents to, as we always say, scrimp and scrape to put money together, to jump in a car, drive to Atlanta to come see the game, I think that was the utmost like sacrifice thing for me to see my parents do. And so we were driving here, and I remember we're in the car, and it's in the summer, and it's hot, man, and so I'm getting there, and of course, as a kid, you're going to the game, and you're looking around, and you're just in awe of everything. And I think back at that time, they had the hard hat plastic hats, the batting helmets that people were getting. It weren't like the snapbacks now, but it was the hard hats. So that tells you I'm old, right? But anyway,
I had one of those too.
But anyway, to have that hat it was the Cooperstown A with the City Connect look.
Yeah.
And so to walk out of that, I thought that was the best thing ever, right? And so with that was a moment I got to share with my dad. And so my mom too, and so my cousins, we all came. And so it was ironic at the time, it was during the Atlanta child murders. And I'll never forget that we were driving here, and I was so scared because we were traveling to Atlanta, a place where there were the Atlanta child murders. And I'm like, okay, my dad, like, I got to stay close to you because I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you've seen these African-American kids being murdered, right? And so I remember that very vividly. And my dad was like, you're going to be all right. We're coming to Atlanta. We're going to be in a hotel, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So when you think about the historical facts, the things that hit, you never know why certain things make sense or certain things are important. And so, all that to say, to see that happen, and to be with my dad was just the utmost thing. And so we go back and I talk about it because a lot of times there are many people of color who don't get to travel beyond 10 to 15 miles from their house. And my parents were able to put together funds for us to travel here to see them live and in purpose. I remember Biff Pocoroba. I remember Chris Chambliss, Dale Murphy, and all these people, Bob Horner. So I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, wow. And so now to be walking in these hallowed halls of Truist Park and seeing people that I used to see on TV is quite overwhelming. And then, not to mention that this year, my son got to go to spring training last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were looking for a little kid to kind of be like a little Hank Aaron or a little Michael Harris. And so for my son to be in that was quite overwhelming. And then to see my dad then bring me, and then I bring my son, that was
It's amazing.
yeah.
That's amazing. That was going to be my next question. Not even question.
You got me, man. You got me, man.
That's what I do, Eugene. I'm
man.
here to
You got me.
get emotional. Get emotional.
You got me.
No, that's what I love, man, because that's real. That's authentic. And that was looking back on spring training last year, me kind of standing behind everything, watching you watch your son on that stage in that City Connect shoot. It was so cool, and it's what I talk about. Like, I tell my wife this all the time. I think she's jealous. I say I literally get to wake up every day and walk into work knowing that I love this job I'm going into. Yes, it's cool because it's sports. It's a team that I love. So, like, yeah, that part of it's cool. But the part that makes me love it is I walk in here every day knowing that, like, I get to work with people that I genuinely enjoy working with, and that along the way in this ride, we get to make these crazy, cool memories and moments like your son on stage, like a full circle life moment like that. Me growing up as a Braves fan, I don't have children yet. Working on it. We got one on the way. Thank you. We got one on the way.
Congrats.
But still, I've had some of those moments just for me personally where it's like, holy cow, like I can't believe that guy that I watched as a kid. Heck, my usual co-host, Craig McMichael here, I was a 10-year-old watching that dude on TBS in 1993,
Yeah.
And then if you, like, fast forward and, like, we're going to do a show together? Okay. So it's, it's just awesome. Well, listen, you've been very kind with your time, and I already made you cry, so I think I don't want to torture you anymore, but we all love working with you, and we're so happy you're a part of this team. Yeah. And yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a great HBCU classic. Yeah. Ralph Garr, Bill Lucas, legend around here. We honor Bill Lucas here. We love Ralph Garr. Ralph Garr is one of my favorite people I've ever met since I've worked here. The Roadrunner. He's just, that dude is awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to a great 2024 with you, my friend.
Yeah, you too, my friend. Thanks so much for having me. And just want to make sure everybody knows that you're all welcome here no matter what time it is. And just make sure that you come out and see us and come shake hands, come eat a hot dog, just come hang out. And that's what it's about.
Amen. Thanks, Eugene.
Thank you.